So today we are going to focus about certain mistakes to avoid during your preparation. So there are certain mistakes that you can avoid during your preparation for TEF and TCF Canada. First is transliteration, exam specific approach. I'll tell you what I'm talking about here. I'll explain what I mean by that. Trying to master everything at once, all at once. When I say all, I mean reading, writing, listening, and speaking all at once, all skills. Over analytical approach, you know, extensive analytical approach, I would say. Analytical approach. So when I say this, I'll again expand on it when we get into discussion. But what I mean to say is that when you're learning a natural language like Spanish, French, or English for that matter, you cannot apply the methodologies that you use for learning a computer language or a business course or a science course. Okay, so that is what also happens, unfortunately. And the last is immigration centric motivation. These are a broad categories of mistakes. These are not like one mistake, but these are categories of mistakes that you must avoid during your preparation of TEF and TCF Canada if you want to succeed. So let's dwell upon all of these one by one. So let's start with transliteration from English to French. So one thing that most of the students struggle with is that they learn French via English as a medium, which is fair enough. If you want the language immersion approach, where you learn French in French, that also works, but that will take more time. That will take usually 2.5 years. For me, when I started preparing for TEF and TCF Canada, I had set myself a goal of 9 months, and I knew that if I follow that approach where I immerse in French and I just learn French via French, I'm not going to reach CLB 7. It's going to take much more time. So I did not have that option. So okay, I said okay, I'll use English as a learning medium. Fair enough. Having said that, I was aware that I cannot transliterate my way to French proficiency. When I say transliterate, just today morning, we had a session with one of our batches, and some lady said she wanted to say, "I'm leaving for vacation. I'm leaving for vacation." The thought occurred to her like this, and she started creating a sentence, and she said, "Je pars pour vacances." That's what she said. So basically, what she did was a thought occurred to her in English, and then to speak the sentence in French, she just converted every word from English to French. Okay. And that's how many students struggle. In fact, if you are aware, in French, simple present and present continuous is same. Conjugations are same in French, right? So when I say I am eating, if you do transliterate, then some people start I am, je suis, manger. It doesn't work like that. You cannot transliterate word to word. I, je, am, suis, eating, manger. No, it doesn't work like that. The correct translation in French is je mange. Because in French, simple present and present continuous are using the same conjugation. So it's the same thing, je mange. It can translate to I eat or I am eating, both. So we don't have any construction like this. But that happens when you try to transliterate, when you try to think in English, and instead of converting your English thought, you convert your sentence word by word to French. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Prepositions in French are different. Tense conjugations in different. So they don't work like that. Word to word translation doesn't work. And this is laziness on part of students. They think that as long as they know the vocabulary, they know the verbs, and they know English, they can just write or speak in French. It doesn't work like that. So you can think in English, which is fine. It's going to take you a hell lot of time to start thinking in French. It will take quite a few years. So fine, you can think in English before speaking or writing. That is okay. But you have to convert your thoughts, not your words. You have to convert your thoughts to French, not your words. So by that way, you will write je pars not pour vacances, je pars en vacances. Because in French, we say partir en vacances. That's the expression. So you must know how to convert my English thoughts into correct French sentences. And you should not try to convert your English sentences word by word to French sentences because these two languages are not like mirror images of each other. They are different in many sense. They have common things, but they are also different. So you cannot just transliterate word to word. That won't work. Second thing, as we talked about, is exam specific approach. We get inquiries from students saying that I already have A2 level, I already have B1 level. Do you have any classes that can directly start from that level? And then, I will take it from there. And then we often wonder, on what basis are you saying that you are A2 or you are B1 or you are A1 for that matter? And quite often the response is, oh, I just passed the exam. Maybe it's a DELF A1, or I attended some institute which took the exam for A1 level exam at institute, and I passed that exam. So I am A1 or I'm A2. Well, it really doesn't work like that. And I'll tell you why not. You should not give too much emphasis on your certificates or your exams. That is because, and if you don't want to agree on this, you can let me know that right now in the class. We can disagree on this. In India, at least, and I don't want to sound like I'm generalizing all Indians, but many of us, including myself, when we take any university courses or even private lessons or anything, we don't study much during the course. Sometimes we do not even learn anything during the course. But there are exams from time to time, and exams have some values. In Indian systems, exams have all the values. Learning is immaterial. Everything is about exam and the result. Okay. So in 1 week before exam or few days before exam, depending on the exam difficulty level, we start waking up, we start drinking coffee, drugs, and we prepare with all our might and night and the sleep and everything, and then we pass the exam either on 35, on 50, 60, 70. Somehow we make it, somehow we always make it, we make the effort for exams, and then we get this nice little certificate which says that you are A2, you are Mr. A1, you are Mrs. B1, or whatever. You might have this feeling that you are A1 or you have B1, but it's not really true, because you cannot learn a language by writing exam every now and then and passing the exam. And it's ironic because eventually most of us are starting with this goal of preparing for these exams. I understand you might be laughing at this. What are you saying? This is all about preparing for the exams. That's the whole point. Yes, I get it. But my point is that if you're talking about TEF and TCF, these are not easy exams. These are not your university exams or end semester test or DELF even. These are like equivalents of IELTS or TOEFL for that matter. They are designed to test your language level. And I'm telling you, I have given IELTS, I don't know, 4 times, maybe 5 times, I don't recall. IELTS always, always got my English level correct. My scores in this 4 5 times I gave the exam were always identical in all the reading, writing, speaking. And I never prepared. I thought my English is good enough to, get the required minimum, whatever score was required. It always computed my level as C1. So, and I was like, okay, that sounds about right. I'm not really C2 and I'm not really B2, so I'm C1. Yeah, that makes sense. So they are really, really well designed exams. There's not like you cannot just mug up your way to IELTS. Like, can you just mug up like, I don't know, 25 essays and get a C1 in IELTS? I don't think so, because they have a lot of live components in the exam and everything. So these are difficult exams. These are not the exams that you wake up 1 week before the exam and take 5 latte or espresso or whatever a day and you can just score 90%. It doesn't work like that. This is a soft skill. You have to develop it over a period of time. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 1 week. But these exams, on the other hand, like DELF A1 or A2, you can indeed study for 10, 15 days and get and their passing criteria is just 50%, to be honest. So you can actually get it done. And that's how people mostly get it done. I'll tell you for a fact, I had learned Spanish for 2 years. And In Spanish, I went traditional, like, language institute from A1, and every course was about 4 to 5 months long. So it usually took me 2 months, 2 years to complete four levels and four exams. And there were many people who were getting promoted from A1 class to A2 class, A2 class to B1 class, and with this end exams and everything. But none of them spoke Spanish. By the time we were in B2 class, myself and one more student, we were the only two people who were speaking Spanish. Rest of them were just still struggling, despite passing all these exams. So do not give too much importance to this A1, A2, B1 exams and the scores they are getting. It's really not about exam. It's really about the time that you spend with a language. Because just by passing exams, by overnight preparation or last week preparation, you might get the score depending on the exam structure. Because some exams might be too much objective in nature, just MCQs, just fill in the blanks, just this and that, and you might get over this 50% threshold. And you might think, oh, I am A1, I'm A2, I'm B1. No, it doesn't work like that. Eventually, IELTS, exams like IELTS or TEF or TCF, they will determine your actual level in language. They are designed in a way that nobody can just mug up for 10 days or 15 days or 1 month even before the exam and get B2 or C1. You cannot, because they are designed in a way that they will find out one way or another your actual proficiency in the language. Maybe you can cheat your way in reading or listening. I don't know. Some people do that. They have exam dumps. They have these question banks of thousands of questions and they mug up, mug up, mug up. But you cannot fake your way through speaking. You cannot fake your way through accent. How will you fake in French accent? If you never studied it, if you never studied the pronunciation, it's impossible to fake your way to B2 or C1. It's just not possible. So the point is that do not give too much importance to exam specific approach. Fine, you can take those exams. I'm not against those exams. You can take those exams to get an idea. But just by preparing for the exams, you're not going to learn French. You might pass the exams, but you will not learn French. So that's another mistake that a lot of people make. The third point, which is trying to master all at once. So a couple of months into the program, we have students who are saying, oh, sir, but I'm really finding it difficult to understand the audios when I listen to them, and I'm really finding it difficult to write up. Of course, you're finding it difficult to understand the audios. Why won't you? When they're when they are speaking in audios, they are not worrying about can I use this preposition? Have this student understood this preposition? Can I use this conjunction? Have they studied all the conjunction? Can I use this language construct? Speaking doesn't work like that. You speak without, when you speak English, ask yourself, when you speak English, do you worry about which preposition I'm using, which conjunction I'm using? No, you just speak. You just speak the sentence as it is supposed to be spoken. You don't care about grammatical constructs and how much syllabus is covered or not covered. Like, I did not even know before starting my studies for Spanish what is conjunction or what is relative pronoun or what is object pronoun. I did not even know what these things are. And I spoke English for years. My point is that when they are speaking, they are using everything in a language, all the language constructs that are required, all the language expressions. So when you are in the middle of your journey, when you are barely 2 months into the program, you have not studied all these constructs, you don't understand them. Even if you understand them, you haven't really retained them. So there's no way you're going to understand the language structure and all the sentences and everything that is being spoken in the audio, which is logical. It makes sense. So you are going to find it difficult to understand. So you cannot expect that, oh, I'm good at solving grammar exercises, so why I suck at understanding the audios? Because those are different skills. They don't go hand in hand. It's not like just because you are getting 100 out of 100 in Duolingo means that you will just start speaking French. It doesn't work like that. So all these skills are complementary. I always say the better you speak, the better you get at listening. The more you read, the better you get at writing. So these skills are dependent on each other. They're not like you cannot just master all of them at once. So I always used to tell myself listening is the last thing I have to worry about, because listening is pretty much like all your skill sets of writing, speaking, and reading come into picture to help you with listening. Don't mistake this as, okay, for 5 months I'm only going to read, and then for 5 months I'm only going to speak. No, I'm not saying that. It's okay if you struggle in listening. You have to understand that you cannot master everything at once. That does not mean that you cannot do them together, but you just have to know that it will take some time. For example, writing is definitely something that people struggle a lot. Even in IELTS, right? We speak English for so many years, but people go and take IELTS and writing section cannot clear because they're not used to writing. They're not used to writing so much. They just speak, or SMS writing is not writing, or WhatsApp chats is not writing. It's different. So you cannot master everything at once. So don't go so hard on yourself. Don't feel so overwhelmed. Why I'm struggling in listening and why I'm struggling in writing. It will come. For example, for me, it was always like pronunciation first. Pronunciation, I always started with that because that was important. Reading and obviously grammar, a lot of grammar. Then speaking, then writing. So I was like, okay, I'll get this off my back first. I should be really good at pronunciation. Even if I do not understand the meaning of a particular word, I should be able to read it out loud correctly. Okay, that was the first thing. Then obviously I'll start having vocab, more and more vocab, and grammar. Grammar is the foundation, it's a structure. So you master grammar. And then once you have this command over all these three, you can start speaking because you have the vocab, you know the structure, and you can pronounce correctly. So you start speaking. So once you have confidence of speaking, reading, grammar, and pronunciation, maybe it's a good time to start focusing on listening, writing. So things will happen, but they will not all happen at once. And you have to understand that. Otherwise, you might feel overwhelmed and you might just give up.
And please follow us on our social media channels in order to remain updated about our program offerings and make most of all the information that we like to share with you about French, about Canadian immigration programs, and how to best prepare for TEF and TCF Canada exams. Merci beaucoup.